And we are live.
Hello, good morning.
Good
Hi.
morning. Good morning, Kirstie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Did you have a nice weekend?
I had a great weekend. How about you?
Awesome. Had a great weekend as well. Went and saw my middle son up in Long Island and threw axes for the first time. It was very cool. We
Yeah,
went
that's
axe
fun.
throwing. It was fun. It was so funny because we were watching. There was a whole group of people. We had to like wait our turn to have them cleared out, and we're watching, and they're missing, and it's falling, and it's falling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna make an ass out of myself. It was so much fun. I got it every single shot. We had
Did you?
yeah, it was
Really?
like a digital, and you kept score, and you had to like it was different games and stuff that you could play on it. It was really really cool. How about you, Trisha? How was your weekend?
It was digital, but you actually threw the axe, right? It
You're
was like
throwing the
actual.
axe at the
Okay,
board, but then there's a digital. So like there was
sure.
one that you had to. It was a moving bullseye, and so you're
Oh, okay,
trying
okay, okay.
to get the
Oh,
different areas, and yeah, it
Okay.
was a lot of fun. A lot of
Yeah,
fun. How about
that's
you? How was your
fun.
weekend?
It was good. I wanted to make a little public service announcement about
Yes.
wires. I had a situation the first time in like 7 years I've ever had this happen. I've heard horror stories, but my buyer went to send a wire, and I'm always like I'm very diligent about the things that wires are safe, but you have to be aware that wire fraud is a real thing. So previously, I had sent the title company had sent the wire instructions, and the buyer. I said, this is what you need to call the title company. I give him a phone number to call because I don't want you calling the number that's on the email. So call the title company and confirm the wire instructions before you send anything. So he's on his way in, and he sends me a text. He's like, I just called so-and-so to let him know that I'm going to be sending the wire. He didn't answer. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm sure he'll call back. We don't have the final numbers yet. Anyway, so he texts me back. He's like, you emailed me the final numbers. I'm like, no, I didn't. And he's like, yeah, you did. I have an email from you that you emailed me the final numbers along with wire instructions. And I'm like, don't send anything. That's a fraud.
Yeah.
So to the point where they had like copied my whole little like I have picture
Signature
at
line.
the bottom of my email and my YouTube channel, like my links, everything was copied, different wire instructions. Thankfully, he had printed them out like I told him to do, so he wouldn't have sent them there anyway. But just a little PSA that you have to be very, very diligent. Wire fraud's a real thing. Make sure that you are, talking to your clients, whoever's watching this, that you have the real
Yes.
numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
So why don't we run through the numbers, and then we will introduce Kirstie. And I'm sorry, I'm all stuffy, guys. I'm just having a morning today. All right. So new active listings.
Do you want to do it? 253 this week from 236 last week. So we are up a little bit. That's good news.
Our coming soon stayed consistent. There were 75 last week and 75 this week.
Under contracts, we are up. We had 421 this week from 373 last week. Getting some under contract.
Back on market, 24 versus 28 the previous week.
Price reductions are down a little bit again. So 108 this week from 115 last week.
And some encouraging news. Total available listings. This is for Bucks, Montgomery, and Lehigh County. There are currently 1,510 homes available versus 1,470 last week. So we are starting to see a little bit of a bump in inventory, and that grew from 2 weeks ago as well. So they're slowly coming out there. But at this time, I would like to. Oh man, I'm gonna sneeze. I apologize. I would like to introduce Kirstie Holmes, who is with Loan Depot. Kirstie, you and I were talking, and there's been some changes in the mortgage world industry lately, and I thought maybe you could share with everyone in between my sneezes of what's been happening in the last couple of weeks. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no. So there are, I think, probably the major places that we get our loans are conventional, so Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. FHA is government lending, VA and USDA. Those are the big places that we get our lending from. That's the standard. There's a lot of offshoots from there. But 4 out of 5 of those are making some changes. So Fannie and Freddie have announced that for our conventional loans, there's going to be some new tiers. So when you get an interest rate, pricing is determined by a variety of things. Certainly credit and income are two big ones in addition to what you're paying out already. So your debt to income ratio is huge. And it used to be that there was a bucket, and the top tier bucket was 740. So if your credit score was 740, you got the optimal pricing. Now they're saying starting May 1st, and probably before as they institute these things, there's going to be two more buckets. There's going to be a 760 bucket. There's going to be a 780 bucket. So what does that mean for you right now? If you are shopping and you're thinking, I want to wait for interest rates to go down in the spring, and you're not quite sure, I wouldn't, especially if you're below the 780 bucket. An additional thing that could help or hurt is your actual debt to income, because there's a percentage value that's associated with what you're paying out versus what you're about to pay out when you buy your home. And what they did was say, if your percentage is here, you're also going to pay a little bit more to get that interest rate. So it's 40% that's going to create another level of pricing for you. So if you're waiting, talk to your lender or talk to your realtor if you're just kind of lightly shopping. It might be a good time for you to get under contract in the next 6 weeks or so. If you're just kind of sitting around thinking there's going to be something brighter and better, there might not be in the conventional world at this very moment. I wouldn't wait much longer.
Okay.
So that's a big piece of it. And that's kind of like the downside and the bad news. Good news is the government came in and said, we know this is happening and we want to help. So FHA has announced, there's PMI, which is the mortgage insurance that you have to pay when you get an FHA loan. And that mortgage insurance is 85 basis points. They've announced that on March 20th, it's going to go down to 50. So they've dropped it 30 basis points.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is huge. So when you look at that, as far as what does that mean for me and what I'm paying every month, if you're buying a house and your loan is $400,000, it's just under $100 a month. So that creates more buying power for you, and that gives you the ability to put that $100, if you'd like to, back into your home instead of into mortgage insurance.
Right.
So that's a huge win for the FHA and for clients on that side. The other government change that was made was VA. So the VA, there's a couple different ways you can get a VA loan, and depending upon how you're discharged and what your entitlement is, will then dictate what you pay. So if you don't have full entitlement, you often pay a funding fee. The funding fee is usually 2.3%. VA has announced that they're going to drop that by 15 basis points in April. So on the 7th of April, that'll go from 2.3 to 2.15, which will save quite a bit for those VA clients as well.
That is great.
That's awesome.
It's good to see that the government is stepping up, like you said, in regards to some of these changes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely want to have some relief somewhere. I know a lot of folks have been out there kind of concerned and wondering where's it going and can I afford it?
Right.
I would say take a look at what's out there and take a look at what you'd be paying and what you're paying out of pocket. If you can afford it today, if things do settle out, you'll be able to afford it later when we can get you even a lower rate.
Right.
But
So Kirstie, if someone has been on the fence and now because of you speaking to us, and they've decided they want to, move forward, how can they reach you to get that pre-approval?
So you could always give me a call. So my phone number is 267-467-0614. That's probably the fastest way to get me.
Okay.
You could email me as well. It's Kirstie Holmes at loandepot.com. And I think Shelby will put that in the chat.
Yep. I'll get all of that in there. Yeah.
And when I resend this out, I'll put a connection to my website on there as well. You can always go on, and that has my full contact information.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest this week, guys. If you have questions, if there's, things that you want, just go ahead and shoot us a message, and we'll be happy to tackle it the following week. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.